Percy with an early run, he's onside this time! It's 1-1! Andre Schürrle, it's 7! It's Mario Götze! What a goal! What a goal to win a World Cup!
Hello again and welcome back to the Beermat World Cup podcast. This time it's going to be a little bit different because when the knockout rounds are set in stone, we sat out and decided to lay a path, sort of almost Sherpa-like, guide your way through all the round of 16 games and quarterfinals, all the way through to the final itself and the winner. We had some success in the round of 16. It has all really gone downhill from there. So what we're going to do is I want to go through what we said would happen versus what actually happened, at least in the round of 16s, and then when we get to the latter rounds, it'll just be a case of you laughing and mocking, and then we're going to flip to a preview of the two semi-finals, just to give you a taste of what's to come over the next couple of days. First up, we'll go through the round of 16 games. We got 6 out of 8 of that, so we'll give ourselves a small pat on the back. 6 out of 8 is probably better chance that I would have of picking games on any sort of accumulator style, but realistically speaking, games on a Saturday at 3 p.m. don't necessarily go to penalties, and games genuinely in domestic football aren't this amazing to start with, which was the first game of the knockout rounds. France 4, Argentina 3. We spoke about how it was going to be defensive and tight and possibly decided on penalties this one. Anything but, really. This was quite literally the opposite of what you would have expected from France and Argentina. And as I said in the post-match podcast, I would have liked Argentina to have a bit more time to get back into that, because I wonder whether France might have folded. For as much as France are really good in that game, there's also signs of they can be got out by not necessarily a world-class side, so we'll see if that bears any fruit later on in the tournament. As for that though, France advanced, and then later on that day, Uruguay beat Portugal by 2-1. Again, very much the sort of same style of game as we was expecting, but infinitely more goals, in that we were convinced that at most this was having one goal, and when Suarez and Cavani combined in what I think was the 6th minute to put Uruguay 1 in front, and what a goal that was, then that sort of set the tone for, do you know what, even defensive sides aren't that defensive anymore. And it's hilarious actually, because the game, even though there was 3 goals in it, was actually filled with both sides sort of putting bodies on the line, more so Uruguay, quite literally players trying to head the ball on the floor. Fair play to them. So we got that one right. So far we were 2 out of 2, it was fine, it was great. On the Sunday then, we had Spain and Russia. We assumed it was going to be a fairly straightforward victory to Spain. This is our first slip-up of the knockout rounds, and boy was it a big one considering we had Spain to go on and win the whole thing. Russia managed to get the penalty shootout victory, quite literally a game that you can sort of see the sliding doors parallel the entire time it's going on, because you know that if Spain get through this, then everything, even as bad as it is, the idea that you have to sort of limp over the line, you've got over the line. And Spain may have even gone on to do everything we said they would have done afterwards. But the longer it went at 1-1, and especially the longer it went without Spain showing any real sort of upping of the tempo, upping of the anger, they seemed content as much as Russia were. Not necessarily content with the scoreline, but just content with the way they were playing, even though Russia were dealing with it very well. And so it went to penalties, and Russia managed to get the victory there. So we are now 2 for 3. The ratio has gone down. Tim Sherwood would be distraught. And then following that, we had another penalty shootout, another 1-1 game, Croatia-Denmark. We had Croatia to get through. We had this to be a tight game. I think actually there was a mention of this potentially going to penalties, so we're going to call that. It was a small sort of, I don't know, maybe if you're desperate to find reasons for why Croatia aren't as amazing as everyone seems to now think they are, this is why. But at the same time, the only reason you're looking for reasons to suggest why Croatia aren't as amazing as they think they are is because you're preparing to face them in a semi-final. On the Monday then, we had first up Brazil and Mexico. Brazil 2, Mexico 0. We had Brazil going through this game. We were trying to sort of figure out ways for Mexico to sort of land a blow on them. And to be honest with you, so were most of Mexico as you watched the game. It was relatively comfortable. The game didn't necessarily break out into the all-out footballing war that I expected. Brazil, with Neymar doing Neymar things, be they good or bad, sort of at the centre of everything, obviously, once again. And while that was straightforward, the game later on that day was anything but. Belgium 3, Japan 2. This could have been where our predictions went completely wrong, but we got this locked in as Belgium victory, and it was the opposite of what you'd expect. Got the right result, but nowhere near predicted how this would happen. We thought Belgium would coast this. We thought Japan would not offer any real threat, and not only did Japan offer a threat, they were minutes away from extra time. They were close to causing one of the upsets at 2-0. And fair play to Japan. And again, this is, if you're going to look for reasons why you would doubt Belgium going into the semi-final against France tomorrow, this might be why. On the Monday then, again, a very straightforward game. This was our second defeated prediction of the 8. Before this game, we were 5 for 6. And this made us 5 for 7. It was disgraceful. We could have had as close to perfection as you can get. If by close to perfection you mean 6 out of 7. That would have been great. Sweden 1, Switzerland 0. This was not a great game. This was, again, we managed to get the prediction wrong, but we got the exact nature of the game right. I think the comment was made that whoever wins, they'll be like, they've done nothing. That was a amazingly dead-on comment from my co-presenter Adam there, and that's pretty much what happened. There's everything I've just described to you in the 30 seconds where I've tried to gloss over this game, that's more action than the game actually saw, I believe. And then flipping from one side to the other, in terms of drama, Colombia and England, we had England going through, so we got it right. But that's by the finest of margins, because, yes, we said that this game would be a lot more difficult than anyone is prepared to acknowledge, because Colombia are a stronger side than most people were prepared to recognise. But without James Rodriguez, to be honest with you, for a long period of time, it looked like Colombia were just going to be held off. Colombia did get the goal to take it to extra time, and in extra time they looked more and more dangerous, and it came down to the shootout. And then, of all the things that we could have predicted, I don't think any of us would have had down England winning a penalty shootout. That was as far away from our minds as possible. So then we go into the quarterfinals. First up, Uruguay and France. Exactly the same way as we had it in terms of lineup, except it went the other way as to what we said would happen. This happens a lot in this quarterfinals. It's impressive. We expected Uruguay to set up and frustrate the French, especially from what we've seen from France prior to the Argentina game and what we'd seen from Uruguay up until this point. Everything about Uruguay suggested they would be able to sit in and frustrate and break, and with Suarez and Cavani you would be able to get something. Except that didn't turn out to be the case, not because Uruguay didn't necessarily perform defensively, and they didn't, but because Cavani wasn't fit and didn't get on in the game. So when one of the biggest weapons in your arsenal you're not even allowed to call upon, it's really unfortunate for Uruguay. And there is a sort of parallel universe out there where Cavani does start, and alternatively there is a parallel universe out there where Muslera doesn't palm it into his own net, and we have a decent-ish 10 minutes to go whereby there's only one goal in it to see if Uruguay can actually force extra time. As it was though, France go through, and for as much as anyone wants to say they've not been amazing, a lot of big teams haven't been amazing. They're going home. France are still in this. And speaking of big teams going home, this was a great one. Brazil 1, Belgium 2. I mean, we had the game right. We got these two going through into this round, but we predicted that Brazil would win this because we didn't really see how, admittedly, it's a bit of a sort of could go either way game, and you want to sit on the fence, but there has to be a winner, so we fell on the side of Brazil going with history rather than with the new up-and-coming amazing hotness that is Belgium and Fellaini. We didn't think that would actually play the part, but it turns out, bringing Chadli and Fellaini in was the masterstroke that everyone knew but didn't know. Yeah, Belgium actually did play this game perfectly, in much the same way that you could argue they got the tactics wrong to start with against Japan and sort of underplayed them. They got the tactics right here and played this to perfection. So, I don't know, I think so far this tournament, in terms of the knockout rounds, Belgium get like a passing grade. You beat Brazil, you get some positives on that, definitely. And the way they played them, they'll be confident going into the semi-finals and seeing how this is going to go now. And in the next game, we had Sweden against England. Now, obviously, we had this as Switzerland against England, but I think the same game sort of played itself out in terms of a side that wants to sit in against, hopefully, England playing a bit more expansive football and not necessarily being choked by the occasion. It was going to be difficult. It was going to be a game for patience. When I say difficult, I don't necessarily mean in the same way as Colombia. Colombia have the weapons to threaten, even without James Rodriguez. There's still a few players in and around there that you have to keep an eye on. Less so with Sweden, I think. And again, thankfully we picked England to go through in that, so we got that one right in the end. Ironically enough, England going through into the semis is the only prediction we got right, and we had them playing a side that they weren't even playing. So, yeah, that's amazing. And the later game that day, the last of the quarterfinals, was Russia going up against Croatia. We had it as Croatia against Spain, and we had Spain going through. So not only does our prediction completely go out the window, we can't even say what we'd say about this game because we didn't even have this game taking place. So we did well, and then it all sort of fell apart. We are going to get to you some sort of pre-final, post-final. Basically, we're trying to record as much as possible in this tournament, trying to soak it all in, just get on all of the nutrients from this tournament that we possibly can, and also so that we can make some more hilariously wrong predictions. In that regard, what we're going to do now is we're going to hand you over to me in the future with a correspondent, and we're going to get down to what's going to happen in these two semi-finals, France-Belgium and Croatia-England, that are going to take place over the next 2 days. So take it away, me.
Yeah, all of that started off fantastically. The predictions were absolutely amazing predictions, and we're here to do it again. There are 3 games left, so the margin for error is slightly less. And what I've got sitting beside me is not Adam Barrett. I've got member of Beyond the Beermat, the wrestling podcast, and you remember him from the World Cup preview podcast. Some would say the Jordan Henderson, some would say the Luka Modric, the underrated, undisputed, and talk about that for hype.
Billy Boy's here.
Yes, indeed. We're going to start with the first semi, which is France and Belgium. Now, first of all, before the tournament started, did you see both sides getting this far? Second of all, how do you see this one going?
I saw France getting this far. I told you a few weeks ago, I think France are the only team that can beat England in this tournament, and I'll stick to that now.
France at the start were one of the top 3 squads, and even though they haven't necessarily performed greatly, they're the only big side to have got this far, and that's all you need, that's all you want.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if they perform to their potential, and I would say that half an hour against Argentina, between 2-1 to Argentina to 4-2 to France, is as devastating a half an hour as I've seen in this tournament, barring England, Panama, but that's neither here nor there.
I think, yeah, that's a slightly different story.
I know Panama are much better than Argentina in this World Cup.
Arguable, but I agree with you. Yeah. That was the best 45 minutes of that tournament, I think. Yes, Argentina, France. The opening game, was France's opening game Australia?
Yes.
They looked absolutely garbage in that game.
They did?
Yeah, they still won. And they still got the goals they need to get through.
The other thing about that as well is that they look garbage in that game, and I don't think this necessarily applies to Belgium, Croatia or England, but just in general. A lot of the big sides have played shit. France played shit, but they never looked like they'd lose it, which is important.
I think they look quite well organised there. I think player for player, they're the best team left at the
100%.
At the 4.
My thing for France is that if Argentina can rock them, any one of these 3 left can rock them.
I think Belgium. Don't get me wrong. I don't think France are going to walk this game. No, I think they're going to win. I think they'll win 2-1, 3-2. There'll be a goal in it. But
I think this is one of those games where whatever we predict, it could be proven wrong within 5 minutes. It could be the exact thing we predict. No one's getting this game dead on, and if they do, there's no way they're getting it dead on with any real sort of evidence.
Unless they're, I was going to say ball tampering, that's the wrong sport, isn't it?
Yeah. You're back to Australia, yeah.
I think Belgium midfield's going to cause some problems. I don't think France have got I don't think France have got the brain to sit there and counteract them.
What I think Belgium offer France, which they've not really had at any time in this tournament, is a side that, first of all, because we're in the semi-finals, believes in themselves.
Yeah. And they're well organised.
Yeah. Well, no, this is the thing that I've used this as a real big criticism of Belgium from start to now, and even when they beat Brazil, I'm still a little... And you say about that second half against Argentina as like being one of the most devastating 45 minutes of the tournament, right? The whole game against Brazil is tactically one of the best I've seen the team set up, and yet I still don't give Roberto Martinez any credit whatsoever.
Why not?
Have you heard this stat about Martinez, by the way?
Yeah.
The last game he lost competitively was against Sunderland on the last day of the season before he got sacked for Everton.
Really? I was going to walk around with my hands in the air going, yes!
All I'd say is, a lot's happened to Everton since, but even more's happened to Sunderland since.
He caused Sunderland's downfall
on
his own. What about Thierry Henry being the
that helped.
mastermind behind it?
That definitely helps, and I think the fact, the sort of it's not even a parallel because they're different players, but the idea of you can see with the Belgian forwards.
Lukaku.
Yeah. And I wouldn't even get like De Bruyne and all that, but just learning from someone like that. You can't foul. The only thing I would
pay for that, can you?
Yeah, no, you can't. You actually can't. The weird thing about that is going to be this whole sort of like Henry and lining up against France and all that.
Yeah, I'm reading today. He's claiming he's nothing to do with it, isn't he? He's claiming he's just there for a bit of motivation. He's not actually helping anyone. I don't believe that for a second.
No. I've heard him give interviews and I've heard him on podcasts, and he might not necessarily be on par with like Gary Neville and all that on Sky, and even Gary Neville's been showing up a couple of times this World Cup. Basically, the standard of commentary is
by Slaven Bilic, is that or?
Yeah. Basically, Gary Neville has an opinion on that no goal should go in ever, and every single goal he should save every single shot. And Slaven Bilic is like, "No, you're right." I'm not saying he's quite that tier, but when you listen to Thierry Henry talk, what you do get from him is this idea if he knows football.
Yeah.
And there are certain people that are really gifted at football that don't necessarily know it. But he certainly knows it, and he can pass that on to Belgium. And the thing about Belgium has always been, they've got these really good players. Can they get them together?
Yeah. If you see anyone handball or something, just say it's supposed to go out for a goal kick. You know where that one's come from.
Well, let's put it this way. I've already heard the idea of like a potential World Cup final between France and England, and Irish fans have to look at it between this nation that we hate versus the Thierry Henry handball. How do we disseminate these two things? I think basically what it comes down to this game is I really don't want to lean into the Martinez thing. I think Belgium are going to win this.
The whole thing? Or this game?
Just this game.
Oh, this game? I can't see past France, I'll be honest. I think if I can neutralise the midfield, which France? I'm not entirely sure they can with the players in that team.
France to me feels like a upgraded version of Brazil in a good side that's not played fantastically well, still has great players. And what I saw the number that Belgium did on. The only thing I would say is that Belgium, what they have to do is always this game where like you see shit sides play big sides, and you know like a shit side has to sit in and has to like get to 20, because if you get blown away in the first 10, that's it.
Yeah.
But what this really weird thing is that the more you go up to that and you get to like right below France, say like France are like a 10 out of 10 side, which we know they're not, but in terms of ability, and like say Belgium are like an 8 or a 9, right? You have to get that first 15 right, and that first 15 is not keep them out, it's bang them.
Yeah.
Get them 1-0 down, early.
I know you say you can't get gung-ho against it.
They did that to Brazil though, and it wasn't necessarily gung-ho. I'm just wondering if like that's going to be the same sort of approach in the sense of like, it's a lot. I'm smiling as I'm saying this. Like Martinez brought Chadley and Fellaini into the side against Brazil, and it's such a bullshit thing of like, yes, those are the keys to beating one of the best sides in the world.
But that's why Man United won the. No, they didn't. Sorry.
Mourinho would have you know that he needs another 300 million just to compete. But there is a reason why Fellaini's getting a new contract, and there is a reason why he is what he is, and he's effective, quote unquote, in that way.
Well, he neutralised Gerrard that one time 10 years ago. So
when?
I thought that's why Everton bought. We already Fellaini here.
Yeah. Oh, you mean when Standard Liège played?
Yeah, that's it.
Jesus Christ, that is a way back. Man, I remember watching that game in a fucking dusky hall with my exuberant youth. Jeez, that was a good game. That was. I enjoyed that. Well, I think we bought Ivanovic from Standard Liège, so that's an immediate right.
Oh, well, it's out right in the end.
Yeah, exactly. Talk about that golden generation of Belgium. That is certainly Standard Liège, is it? Right. Okay. So I say Belgium. You say France.
Yeah.
Out of 100, how convinced are you of France? It sounds like a terrible way of splitting the difference, but I want to say
52%, and that'll.
Oh man, 52% is a strong majority. I've heard.
It's the will of the people.
Yeah, will of the French people, definitely.
No, okay, seriously, about 60% sure.
Again, I do think it's one of these sort of coin flip games where, like, you could say France are going to win. Would you be surprised to see Belgium?
No, I wouldn't be surprised.
Exactly so. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see France win, and I think Belgium. Let me ask you this: do you think it's going to be a good game? Because I think it's going to be a great game.
No, I don't.
Even because it's a semi-final?
Because it's a semi-final, I think they're both going to be cagey. I think it's got the potential to be. I think they've got the players, both teams have got the players to do it. But if you're one game away from the final as a player, you're going to be nervous. I don't care who you are.
Like, even if you're Belgium with this whole sort of tag on your back, and the quotes that like Lukaku come out with before the tournament, and the quotes that like certain other like Belgian players have. They've had this with them for quite some time now.
So did Spain, though. They got rid of it.
That's what I'm saying. Like they didn't necessarily approach it with fear. They approached it with sort of fire.
Yeah.
Fight fear with fire. That's the best way to do it.
It is.
You fight fire with fire. That's a quick way to get sacked from the fire service.
It is indeed.
Yeah. That child was about to be saved, and then you'd like Molotov cocktail the room, you know. So we'll leave that aside then, and then the second semi-final obviously is Croatia falling to the sleeping giants that is Gareth Southgate's mighty England.
Might as well not even talk about it. It's England win, move up. No, I'm joking. I don't think it's going to be an easy game. I think their midfield's going to cause us a problem. I think they're two centre.
Do you think their midfield's actually going to cause a problem? Because their midfield hasn't done a lot in the knockout rounds.
Maybe not, but they've still got the quality.
I agree, but quality doesn't always translate.
That's when you're playing against Harry Maguire and co.
Oh yeah, definitely. Let me ask you a question. Who's the favourite in this game?
From my point of view, I think Croatia.
Does this game boil down to both teams try and fob off who the favourite is? Because the whole point is we're on the weaker side of the draw, so we don't want to be seen as like the strongest side left.
Well, what you said about Belgium, Croatia have had that on them for a long time as well.
Yeah. In that regard, it sounds really weird given like the whole English legacy and the whole 66 and everything that's happened. Yeah. Is it fair to say that there's more hanging on the Croatia players than the English players?
At the minute, yeah, because we've been absolutely garbage since last World Cup we've performed.
2010, and even that's
we didn't really perform. We were crap in 2010.
Well, no, even when I say 2010, when I say 2012, what I mean is we squeaked through the group.
Although we did get screwed from that over the.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Over the line,
that is exactly what I mean. Yeah. We lost to the winners. Yeah.
What by DQ, but
no, actually, they didn't even win it, so never mind. But we definitely got screwed. That's true.
That's besides the point. But I don't think there's any pressure on us. There is now because everyone's football's coming on, this and the other.
I don't think that counts as pressure. I think that counts as dickheads going to be dickheads. I really do.
Yeah.
If we lose on Wednesday, are you personally going to be...
I'll be happy with that performance.
Yeah, exactly. Supposing we don't just start banging in own goals against Pickford from minute one, and it finishes 90-0 in a quote-unquote great game.
I would accept that, actually.
Yeah. It'd be something to see. There isn't really a scenario in which you turn around and go, oh, this has been a shit tournament for England.
No. I think every game, we've performed well above what everyone was expecting us to. Even the first couple of games, they come out the gates flying against Tunisia. Everyone sat there for the first 20 minutes like, whoa. Then the usual idiots came out in the second half, but they won that. They absolutely smashed Panama. We expected to beat Panama, smash them 6-1?
Yeah.
6-1?
All I've said about England's performance is what I said after the game on the podcast, go back and listen to it, which is that we're sort of been, as a nation, or at least not even us, just like I'm using a metaphor on top of a metaphor here, so you have to bear with me. So our hope was kidnapped. Our hope was kidnapped by 2010 World Cup and really good players retiring, and then 6 years of Roy Hodgson telling us we were shit. All we've done so far this tournament is what you would have expected us to do in 98 or 2002.
Yeah, the young squad go out
and beat the sides we're better than.
Yeah, I think we're a better team than Sweden. I don't think Sweden are very good. They've had some good teams along the way.
Do you know what? I think Sweden are underrated because if you look at the sides that they finished above Holland to knock them out. Okay. They knocked Italy out in the qualifiers.
Right.
And then you look at the group that they were in, Germany, they could have easily got a point from that game.
Should have got something.
Pointed
if the manager hadn't give up at half time, sat 19,000 people behind the ball.
I don't necessarily blame him too much for that, but I'm just saying that team is solid and sort of what you would expect from our top tier championship side playing against.
Yeah, that's what I'm comparing to. Yeah, exactly.
And then
that's why Seb Larsson's in the team.
Yeah, not even that high up. But in terms of England-Croatia, I think the match itself comes down to, I said before, this whole idea of who's better, who's this, and who's that. It's about level. It's a coin flip again, much like France-Belgium. It's a coin flip.
Got to keep the ring.
I think they will. I really think they will. If they were going to lose the head, they lose the head when Colombia.
Yeah, completely agree. They actually they were trying to wind us up, let's face it. Yeah. And then you had 20,000 rabid Colombians in the stand.
Yeah.
And Maradona going, middle fingers up in case you can't see it.
Yeah.
And I thought that kept the ring quite low. I mean, even when Henderson was over the top, still. I'm a big fan of Theo Henderson.
Henderson in this tournament has turned himself into everything that teams have done to us over the years, and we go, oh, why can't we be more like that?
I completely agree. I think everyone else has been doing it for us for years. I don't see the problem. We'll start diving around and flagship and whatnot. I think if they can neutralise that midfield, I think we're going to win. I wouldn't play. I'd keep the same team.
100%.
Keep the same team.
Dele Alli's clearly injured. This is
Oh yeah, he is. He's not playing very well.
Right. And Jesse Lingard's been okay. I'd rather have, from a personal preference, I'd rather have Rashford in the team than Jesse Lingard.
I think Rashford's an impact player.
Yeah, no, but what I would say
Mourinho
is there is no reason to change that team. Henderson is an injury doubt, apparently.
Is it?
Yes.
Who are you replacing with?
Loftus-Cheek's got to go. And Loftus-Cheek is the guy ready to go. There's no worries about
exactly.
The thing about it is that like there's confidence not just in like one area of the team doing well. Like Portugal early on in the tournament, when they drew with Spain, it was like, oh, Ronaldo, this is his tournament, he's going to do amazing. That's one lad out of 11.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's no one in this England team that is nowhere near that ability.
Yeah.
But everyone in that team has contributed.
Yeah. I completely agree.
Even the reserves have contributed by losing to Belgium to get us this route through.
That was a great tactical decision.
Man, letting Januzaj go through and score, fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. Couldn't have made him play that show any better, could you?
Do you know the really ironic thing about all that is that I think if England had to go through the hard route, England would have got to the final, but Belgium might.
I think you're right. I think you're right. We'd have gone out to Brazil. I don't think we'd have done that the other day.
I think we'd have froze on that stage.
Against Brazil?
Yes.
Alright. Then I beat Japan.
I think the thing to be said for playing a big side earlier on in the tournament, if we played Spain in the round of 16 or Germany in the round of 16 or whoever, like a big side, regardless how shit they are, because we all joked about this whole idea of like, oh, these teams have played shit so we could have knocked them out.
Yeah.
I reckon we might have, in the end, reverted to this is our mentality, this is how we lose.
Exactly.
Whereas if we play France in the final, for example, France are a big side.
Yeah, but anything can happen in the cup final.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's in a final.
Yeah.
It's not in a round of 16.
Yeah.
We won't turn around and go, oh, this is what it is. It's turning around and going, no, fuck you, this is us.
Yeah. But look what happened when Birmingham played Arsenal in that League Cup final. Player for player, we shouldn't have won that game. We should have been absolutely battered that day. But he organised them, put them in a decent, he said, they know Arsenal were going to come at us. And if you look back at the video, I think we did alright now playing.
Yeah.
But, that's cup final. Anything could happen.
Okay then, so just to rewind this slightly, because we've already put England in the final. England-Croatia, how's it go? What's the result?
I think it'd be 2-1.
In normal time?
Yes. I don't think it's going to extra time.
Okay.
Croatia have played an hour extra football to us, and penalties.
Yeah, no, I was going to say both their last two games have gone to penalties, and
so,
they are a bit run ragged. Also, as well, interestingly enough, every single game that's gone to extra time so far in this tournament has gone to penalties.
Has it? Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
So we are yet to see an extra time winner. I've got a funny feeling it's going to be won in extra time.
Okay.
And that might be where that sort of they've run the extra yards goes.
Yeah. Hopefully. Very nice.
At the end of the day, all that matters is football's coming home. This has been the Beermat knockout preview for the second time. And preview and review, it's been interesting. We'll get to you when the final happens. And again, there's 4 teams left. We've got like a 50-50 chance in both games. We'll apologise to you on Sunday.